This
Got the session,
conference will
please.
now be recorded.
Yeah, I've started the recording.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
So
you can
guys,
carry
I
on.
am all
Yeah.
yeah, so guys, so I am also outside. If you hear any background noise, just it would be very little, but just in case. So yesterday we did take a look at what is the structure of an HL7 message, and we also did take a look at introduction of what is hospital workflow, where exactly we use hospital workflow, and where exactly we use HL7, why the name has come, how the name has been given, and all of these aspects. So we'll continue from there. So first we will take a look at yesterday we did talk about how HL7 message is a event-driven methodology, event-driven messaging standard that has been designed. So we did take a look at what is the how exactly the HL7 messaging events that happen in the hospital workflow. So when we look at hospital workflow, in the hospital workflow, we see that there are series of events that are happening. One is patient registration, another one is scheduling, another one is charges or labs that are being sent out and received by the hospital system, and so on. So these are series of events that are happening. Entire workflow is broken down into events. So when you look at healthcare, when you look at hospital workflow, everything is divided into events, and HL7 is designed based on those events. So today we will take a look at how exactly those uh, what are the different kinds of events that we have in terms of HL7, how do we represent them, and we will also take a look at cover 5 to 6 different message types and event types, which are part of the entire hospital workflow that we have discussed yesterday. And then we will take a look at few couple of tools, and we will also review the structure of an HL7 message. I know it was little fast yesterday as we took a lot of time. So we'll review the HL7 message structure once again, and we will conclude the session. So as I said, events that are happening in the real-time world will initiate or generate the necessity of data flow from one system to another system. That part is called as a trigger event, is what we have seen yesterday. So this was the sample HL7 message which we did take a look at yesterday. So as I said, a trigger event is nothing but an event that is happening in the real-time world, a scenario or an event that is happening in the real-time world, which actually needs the data to flow from one system to another system. That is called as a trigger event. For example, patient getting registered within the PM system. The data which is being generated has to be sent over from PM system to EHR system. That is necessary because doctor also has to go ahead and take a look at the patient details, and without PM sending that information from PM to EHR, EHR won't be able to get that information. Ultimately, doctor will not be able to take a look at it. So that is the main thing why each, so that is an event which is generating the necessity of data flow from PM to EHR. So that is one scenario or one event. Another event is sending lab information from EHR to laboratory. So that is another event. In this way, there are many different kinds of events that come up in the hospital workflow or the real-time events. So if you can broadly categorize that, yesterday we did take a look at these categories. One is registration, where patient gets registered and all of these things happen, or update of patient details would happen there. And anything related to appointment is put under one bracket. And then we have labs. So there are orders that are being placed from PM system, sorry, EHR system, not PM system, and results are being received on the EHR system. So these are the various things that happen on the EHR side. And finally, we also see that the charges that are being generated either from lab or from EHR will be sent over from this software to PM system, so that PM system can go ahead and raise the billing claims and settle them up with the insurance companies, which is the final step. Settling up claims and insurance companies, as I said yesterday, is done through a different protocol or different messaging standard altogether. And pharmacies also don't follow HL7, they do e-prescriptions. So we are not going to take a look at those two things. We are going to concentrate the HL7 elements of this particular workflow. So we will be taking a look at how these particular things are expressed in the form of HL7. So when you look at a registration message, this is the common language that we are talking. But in terms of HL7, we have a dedicated name for each and every category that we have discussed just now. So for example, if you talk about registration, it is called as an ADT message. An ADT message is nothing but anything which is related to registration will be represented with the name of an ADT. So the name ADT means it's admit, discharge, and transfer. It is called as admit, discharge, and transfer. So just give me 1 minute, guys. All right. So as I said, so registration, anything with respect to the registration is represented with the message type of ADT, which is admit, discharge, and transfer. So this will involve registering a new patient record in the PM system, or updating existing patient details in the PM system. And in case if the patient is being transferred or being admitted to the hospital, either inpatient or outpatient, whatever is with respect to the registration, everything falls under ADT. Next, what we have is appointment related message type. So that is SIU. SIU is scheduling information unsolicited, which means the term unsolicited is used to represent a unidirectional information. So basically, it represents that appointments are always unidirectional for the reason that uh, the appointments are scheduled in the PM system and they will travel to the EHR system. There is never a case that which we usually don't see. Usually, in the sense, I mean, we will never see this kind of scenario where appointment is being scheduled in the EHR system or a doctor's desk. That is not a common practice that is there in the healthcare industry. So always the appointments are unidirectional. They flow from PM to EHR, but they never flow back from EHR to PM. At times we'll see that even the registration messages can go out from EHR system to some other downstream system, which is why they are not called as a unidirectional message types. But we might have cases where ADT messages are flowing either from EHR or PM systems. So based on the scenario, but whereas appointments, they only flow in unidirection from PM to EHR system, which is a source of scheduling or creating the appointments. So next one, what we have is labs. Labs are nothing but the orders and result related message types. So anything which falls under orders and results will fall under lab category. And in this, we have two message types which are represented as ORM and ORU. So these are the names of these events, or these messages that are happening in the real-time world, and these are the names given in terms of HL7. ORM is nothing but observation request message, which means it is an order message. Basically, they are going to raise a request to get some observations done. For example, CBC or urine culture or blood culture or something of that sort. So these are the things that we will be seeing from lab perspective. Next one that we have is ORU, which is observation re result unsolicited, which is nothing but the result message for the order that has been sent from EHR to lab system. So lab system would perform the result and they will respond back, perform the test, and they will respond back with the result to the EHR system. Next, what we have is charges. So charges can flow from any direction to the PM system or to the billing system. This could be from EHR system, or this could be from another system called as lab system. So charges can flow in any direction from anywhere, but depends on the service that has been provided to the patient. However, the ultimate place or ultimate location where the billing is generated is the PM system, or there will be a separate billing system. So it depends on the workflow of the hospital, how they want to manage the billing system. In few hospitals, you will see that the PM system is the final application which will generate the claims and send it over to the HR system. Sorry, send it over to the insurance companies. Another thing is there will be a separate billing office. So what happens in that scenario is the entire billing information is sent to that billing office instead of the PM system. So PM will be there only for scheduling or registering patients and all of these aspects. But the ultimate location or ultimate place or application which is going to handle the billing could be a different billing office, and entire billing is taken care from there. So it's completely up to the hospital how they want to manage, how they want to have their workflow. So it entirely depends on their system. So these are the events, but these are the broader categories that we are taking a look at. We need to dig a little deeper and see what are the different types of events that are possible in these categories. So let us take a look at that. If you take a look at registration, registration has two main events. Not that these are the only two, but these are the two main events that we usually come across in the
Dikshan,
hospital workflow.
Dikshan, like in previous
Hey, yeah,
slides, like what do you mean by DFT?
DFT is detailed financial transaction.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I think I missed on that. Um, so next we will get into the registration message and the events that are part of the registration message. So when we talk about registration messages, we'll see that it is a new patient registration and update of existing patient information in the PM system. So registration has these two main events. Are these the only two? No, there are many other like merge patient, and there are other types of registration messages as well. But these are the most common ones that we will see and we'll be using. From my experience, from the implementations that I have done, 80% of the implementations will deal with a new patient registration or update patient information. And next, what we have is appointment related information. So there are three main events that are covered as part of appointment related information. One is new appointment, which is nothing but scheduling an appointment. Another one is update of existing appointments, which is to modify the existing appointment, either change in time, adding comments, adding doctor information, or adding some additional information given by the patient, and so on. It could be anything. Next, we have deletion of an existing appointment, which is to delete the existing appointment or cancel the existing appointment. Cancel is the better word. Usually, healthcare data is not deleted from either from PM or EHR system for legal reasons and for from workflow perspective as well, which is needed to retain the healthcare data. So when I say delete, it doesn't mean literal deletion of the data from the PM system. Usually they go ahead and cancel the appointment, and data deletion is not usually done by most of the software. They retain the data, however, they do show that as cancelled appointment. Next, what we have is charges. As I said, uh, charges will show up as DFT. So there is only one event in charges that will communicate the charge related information. Next, what we have is labs. So within labs, we have two different events and two different message types. One is orders and the other one is results. So for orders, we have seen ORM is the message type, and that will send out an order message, and result is ORU, which is going to generate a result message. Now, as we have seen in the earlier slides, the normal names are given, and then we did take a look at what are the names of those categories in terms of HL7. In the same way, as we are seeing the normal names here, all of these events have individual representations in terms of HL7 again. So we'll be taking a look at these individual events. These are the main events that are going to be generate the HL7 messages from the PM or EHR systems. So let us take a look at that. Now we did see that registration component represents ADT, which is admit, discharge, and transfer. And within that, we have ADT A04 or A28, ADT A08 or ADT A31. So these two represent ADT A04 represents a new patient registration. Alternately, another event within the same ADT message type is A28. So this event type represents new patient registration as well. And we have ADT A08, A31, which represent update of existing patient information. So you can use any one of them, either A08 or A04 uh, for A04 for new patient registration or A28 for new patient registration, A08 for update of existing patient information, and A31 for alternately A31 for update of existing patient information. Anything can be used. So that depends on the way you want to use it, and that depends on the way the receiving system or sending system has been designed. So you can use alternately any one of them, but these are the events that are going to represent patient registration information. So ADT is the message type and A04 or A28 is the event type. Usually what we call it as, whenever we want to say that I'm going to send out a registration message, we call it as ADT A04 or ADT A08. So that's what we call it as a patient registration message. But just by looking at ADT A04, we'll understand that it is a new patient registration. Or just by looking at ADT A28 or A31, ADT A31 is what, just by looking at that, we can understand that that is representing an update of existing patient information. So we will talk more about that in the further phases when we are going to talk about message event types, message types, and when we are going to talk about the structure of an HL7 message. Then next what we have is SIU related information. SIU is scheduling information unsolicited, which is nothing but to send out SIUS 12, to send out an SIUS 12, SIUS 14, SIUS 15. So we have seen three different events in the previous slide, which are possible as part of scheduling. One is new appointment, another one is update of existing appointment, third one is cancellation. So these three represent those three different events that we spoke in the previous slide. SIUS 12 represents a new appointment, and SIUS 14 represents update of existing appointment, which is to modify the existing appointment. And the third one is cancellation of existing appointment. When we modify or cancel an existing appointment, there are um, few workflow related aspects which we'll be seeing. So we'll talk about it when we get there. We'll see more about on those aspects when we talk about appointment related messages and the structure and the segments and fields. Next, what we have is DFT message. So DFT message is nothing but detailed financial transaction. It has only one event type, which is nothing but PO3. So whenever you see DFT PO3, you understand that it is a DFT PO3 message, and it charge related information within it. So that HL7 message which has DFT PO3 is representing charges. Next we have ORM O01, ORU R01. So ORM is combined with O01. This becomes the order message type, and ORU R01 becomes a result message type. So these are the different events that we have and that are possible as part of hospital workflow. So we will be taking a deeper look at all of these individual categories. We will be seeing what ADT contains, what SIU contains, what DFT contains, and all of these things, which means what are the segments that are possible within that, what are the important fields of each of the segments that we are going to take a look at. We'll be covering all of them. So any questions with respect to the events that we have seen just now?
Hi, Dixon, it's like regarding that lab,
Mm-hmm.
order and the result is there. Okay, so from the EHR, the order comes and the result generates and goes directly to EHR. How the process is?
Sorry, your voice was cutting off. Is that
Okay, so
can you repeat the question?
yeah, regarding that lab, okay,
Mm-hmm.
we have order and result, right?
Right,
So
right.
the once the doctor or the EHR have the order,
Mm-hmm.
how the process goes, the order comes and the result goes, or the request, the process it process in according to the the request. How I just need to know the process how it goes,
Sure,
order and
sure.
the result.
Right. So now a doctor is, so patient is going to visit the doctor, right? So once the
Yeah.
patient is at the doctor desk, they will go ahead and try to diagnose the patient. Uh, so if they are able to diagnose without performing any test, then that's fine. But in most of the cases, as we see today, they won't be able to tell what is the problem just by looking at the patient. So they definitely will place some order,
Okay.
like blood test, for example. So
Okay.
that order that is being placed, what we usually do, most of the hospitals or most of the healthcare industry in today's world, we carry the order requisition and go to the lab, get the test done, we get the result, and we come back to the hospital and show it to the doctor. But
Yeah.
in countries where healthcare is digitized, like US, UK, or Australia,
Yeah. Here is
they
also the same.
place an order from the, yeah, yeah. So even in some UAE countries, so they will place an order from the electronic system itself, and it will go through HL7 message. That is where we are going to send an ORM O01 message from EHR to lab system.
Okay.
Lab will receive that order message. They will, then the patient visits the lab. They don't carry anything. They just visit the lab. They give their patient ID, and they will pull out the test information. They will perform the test, and they will send the result out back to the EHR system. Doctor will receive a result notification that this patient has a result. He will review the result, and he will update the EHR system with the appropriate comments or details or treatment or prescription, whatever it is. So that is the workflow with respect to orders and results.
Okay. Fine. 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 Thanks.
Yeah.
Dixon, like we have seen the slide where we seen like ADT04, ADT08, all the terms in terms of HL language. So these
Right.
terms, all the terms we need to mug up, or we can take help of any another tool, or what means these all the terms we have to mug up.
Yeah, unfortunately. So I wouldn't say by hearting it, but slowly with the process you will learn it. So so the main thing that you need to keep in mind is the hospital workflow. So when you want to represent a hospital workflow, you can break the hospital workflow into events, and then you will be able to remember them easily. So, but if I have to answer your question, yes, you have to memorize them in order to in order to go with an implementation. I'll tell you the reason why. It's just with the events that we are seeing here. We have a lot of things in HL7 that we have to keep in mind. Once we go through next segments and next phases, you will easily understand why I'm saying that. Um, the reason is during a process of implementation, when you get into a project and proceed with live implementation, um, we will converse in terms of HL7. We don't say that are you sending the registration patient or the vendor who we are dealing with, whoever we are trying to interface with. They won't say that we are going to send out a registration message, we are going to send out an appointment message, and so on. We talk in terms of HL7 only. We say that okay, I'm sending an SIUS 14 message. Did you receive an S14 message? As I am an HL7 person and the other person on the other side is also an HL7 person, we quickly understand that S14 is nothing but update of existing appointment. So we converse in terms of that. So we need to know tomorrow down the line when you have an implementation, they might tell you what is, I'm sending a patient ID in PID3. So I'm sending the information in PID3 is what they might say. So PID3 is patient ID is what you have to know. So this is something that has to be memorized. Um, HL7 is that way from the beginning. So it might take it might face little difficult, you might face little difficulty in the beginning, but as you go on with one or two implementations, or as you keep on practicing, it will be easy thing. It is not a big difficult task.
Okay, Dixon. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. Any other questions you have? Okay. So then we'll jump on to the tools that we have discussed yesterday. We will have a shorter session today. We'll discuss about the tools, and then we'll discuss little about the HL7 message structure. So yesterday we did take a look at a sample message. Today we will take a look at another sample message. So if you look at this HL7 message that we have here, we see that yesterday we did understand that for each and every HL7 message we have segments. The entire HL7 message is divided into segments, and each segment is divided again into fields. So these are segments, and each segment will have a name. The first three letters of any segment will represent the name, and we will be seeing in detail what those names are. But for now, we'll take patient ID to understand the message structure well. So just to revise what we have seen yesterday. So if you look at PID segment, this segment represents patient identification information. So what all the things that are involved in patient identification? It will have patient ID, it will have name, it will have date of birth, it will have gender. And we also did understand from yesterday's session that each segment will have fields, and fields are separated with the help of a pipe. So if we are seeing one pipe here, one pipe here, it means that this is compartment number one, what we have seen yesterday from the example, which is field number one is what we call in terms of HL7. So this is field number one, this is field number two, this is field number 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So there could be 50 fields, there could be 100 fields based on the segment. The possibility of number of fields is already defined by HL7. Okay. For example, if you talk about PV1, you might have 51 fields in PV1, and each field represents certain data element, which will be captured in the real time in the application. So if you talk about demographics, as I said, we have whether patient is alive, patient is deceased, patient date of birth, patient ethnicity, gender, patient's race. All of these are the demographic related aspects of a patient. All of these data elements have certain placeholders in the PID segment. So if you look at PID 5, this is PID number 5, which is representing the patient information. Okay, so PID 5 has patient in it, patient information in it, and patient information, patient name, which is nothing but patient name information. When we say name, do we have only just one word? We will have first name and last name in a name. So these are, as a whole, name is a field, and name is again divided into two different components, first name and last name. So that component is separated with the help of a component separator, as you can see here, which is a caret symbol. So yesterday we did see that from the message delimiters, we did see that the caret symbol represents component separation. So in a name, we have two components, first name and last name. In that way, wherever we have components, those components will be separated with the help of caret. Okay. And when we want to tell someone that I am sending patient name, or if you want to navigate through an HL7 message, how do we represent that? How do we voice it out? Is this way. We'll call the page segment name dot, and then we'll tell the field number. So in this case, this is field number 1, this is field number 2, this is field number 3, this is field number 4, this is field number 5. So field number 5, PID 5 is the place where we have patient name. Okay. And if you want to specifically direct to patient last name, then we will say that it's PID dot 5, PID dot 5, we are there. This is the entire field number 5. Within this, we have last name and first name. This is last name and this is first name. So we represent it as PID 5.1. This is component number 1. This is component number 2. So 5.1 is called as last name and PID dot 5.2 is called as first name. Okay, that is how we navigate through an HL7 message. So now this is date of birth. So this is field number 7, which is representing date of birth. This is field number 8, which is representing the gender. So in this way, for each and every data element that is being captured at the front end, there will be a dedicated placeholder in the HL7 message. All that we need to know is where exactly we are going to send that information. That is all what HL7 is all about. You have dedicated placeholders for each and every data element. We have to know from HL7 implementation engineer's perspective, we have to know what we are sending where. So we'll be looking at what we are sending where in the future classes, in the future sessions. But for now, this is the structure that we need to understand. Next, we will face real difficulty when we exactly want to read through the HL7 message. Uh, for example, now I am reading it like this. This is field number 1, this is field number 2. And if I want to see what is the field number of this one, I have to count it from the beginning, right? So at times it feels very difficult. And another thing is, if you are on a call with another HL7 engineer, and if you have to say in which field you are sending the gender, usually you have to remember few things. You have to remember, not everything, but at least few things you have to remember, like patient ID, patient name. There are few important fields that you have to keep in mind. Apart from that, in order to see what we are sending where, you can just use few software tools called HL7 tools, which will break the HL7 message for us, and it will represent that in a systematic format. So we'll take a look at that one now. What are the tools that we have in the market which we can use? So the most famous one and most easiest one is where did it go? Yeah, here you have HL7 Smart View, Smart HL7 Viewer. So what you do in this is you load the message. I will load an ADT message. When you load the HL7 message and if you click on a segment, it will break down the segment for you individually and it will give the field number. So this is field number 1, this is field number 2, and it will also give you the name of that particular field as well. It will give you a detailed description, like in this case, PID 5, this is segment PID. So here you can see that PID segment is highlighted and PID segment is showing the field numbers here. So field number 5 is representing patient name. When you click on this one, it will also show you the components available. So here on the right hand side, you can see that first name is component, second name, given name is also the another component that we have in this ADT example. So in this way, this tool will be very, very helpful for breaking down the HL7 message and understanding it better. It will give you the component number and component name. You can also download it. It's a free tool. You can go to SmartView HL7 website. Let me So you can go to smarthl7.com, and here in this website you can go ahead and download this. Where do we have? You can click on tools. So in the tools we have message viewer. So this is the message viewer which you can download it from here. Apart from that, we have so you can download it from here. Sorry. And apart from that, we also have few additional tools like message sender, message receiver, message filter. So we'll be using them down the line for our practical sessions. So just download them as well, or you can download them when we after our discussion of those sessions. But for now, just go ahead and download this one, message viewer, and you can use them to see how we exactly interpret an HL7 message. Okay. So any questions, guys, from today's session?
No questions.
All right. So
So,
yeah. So
Some,
Vimal,
yeah,
yeah, Vimal.
so maybe you will be covering this down the line. When we discussed about the ADT, right? You said like you can use both transactions. So I'm just trying to wonder what is the difference between A04 and A28? Do we know when to use which, or both are identical?
Both are pretty much identical. Both send new patient registration information itself. And in both the scenarios, more or less, you will be seeing the same segments and same data components. The only
Mm.
thing is ADT A04 is going to represent the name given to ADT A04 is registration, and ADT A28 has new patient registration information. ADT A28 has little more additional fields and additional flexibility than A04, like usage of IN3, which is an additional, ultra additional segment, is what I can say, which we
Mm.
usually don't see in an ADT A04 message. But it is not an essential segment which has to be sent always in a demographic message, which is why you will be seeing the usage of any one of them in the demographic registration system.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions, guys? Okay. So we'll catch up tomorrow morning for our next session. And you all have a good day.
Okay, thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dixon.
Thank you, everyone.